Hello, lovely beings. Tis I, your host, Autumn Oakley. Welcome to Awaken Mindset, a podcast of awakening authenticity, shifting mindset, and expanding energy. There is such beauty in this life when we are willing to face the truth of ourselves in order to truly see. It's in awareness we gain control over our reality. Hello, lovely beings. Welcome to today's episode of Awaken Mindset. Tis I, your host and energy and mindset guide, Autumn Oakley. So today's episode, I want to talk about carnivore, vegan, keto, the hot topic going on right now. What you should eat, what diet should I partake in, what nutrition is right for me. And, I really like to promote that, people are sharing what is working for them, and you need to do what works uniquely for you. And why should you listen to this, point of view? Why should you listen to me in this aspect? Yes, there is, study and, details in regards to different, diets or nutrition styles. But, in what I've learned over the years, overcoming, physical illness, whether it was digestive issues, whether it was, mental illness, whether it was, just struggling in losing weight, whether it was, not having, regulated hormones or high cortisol. There were lots of different aspects throughout my life that really created a yo-yo effect and brought a lot of struggle in regards to my nutrition. And this is what I mean, is that we need to do what is working for us uniquely in the moment. And, at different periods in life, at different periods in time, what may work for you may not work any longer. And, this is something that, I found to be true over the years, is that I always, was allergic to a lot of things even. And, it was in doing certain things that we don't talk about in regards to nutrition that I'm no longer allergic. And I had tests, all throughout my arm. And I was borderline anaphylactic for a lot of different, birch foods, which is plums, peaches, pears, nectarines, carrots, apples, almonds, peanuts, walnuts, all of these things I really wanted to eat. But, I was always kind of restricted with that. But it was in addressing certain things in regards to my nutrition that we don't really talk about in regards to diets and nutrition that truly transformed, my healing and, getting to a space to understand, what works uniquely for me. And, these things are not really what we talk about. When it comes to nutrition, we like to talk about, the scientific study. We like to share, you should be eating this and not this. We like to say that, it's this way or the highway. And what works for someone, works for them. And that's what they're sharing with you. But you need to do what is working for you in regards to sticking to nutrition, in regards to how it makes you feel. Because as we heal, as we grow, as we, step into elevated health, your nutrition is going to change. And this is something that I found to be true over the decades, is that, overcoming chronic physical illness, post-viral syndrome and fibromyalgia. I had to rebuild my, digestion, from the ground up. I had irritable bowel. I had all of these digestive issues, and it was really frustrating. But what I learned to be true is that, we like to talk about specific details in regards to nutrition that's going to work for you. A lot of it is actually, addressing different things. It's actually addressing, your environments and your nervous system. And this is something we don't talk about, is that, when you do healing, when you address your nervous system and get it to a state that is regulated, you don't have digestive issues in the same sense. Your nutrition changes. What is actually, healthier is something that you crave when you do the healing, because everything's energy. So when we really shift energy, our mindsets, we associate our identity with someone who eats healthier. And, what people are sharing with you, it works for them, it works for them. But it doesn't mean that it's going to entirely work for you. So it really takes, some trial and error of different things. Because, yes, there's scientific study, but, some people really benefit and they get, really elevated in energy. They feel great. They feel lean on a vegan diet. Some people are on a vegan diet, they're bloated, they are drained in energy, they're not getting the proper nutrients that work uniquely for them. Some people work better with a carnivore diet. Some people, do well with intuitive eating. And really, what I believe it's about is that it really can change throughout your life. And that's something we need to kind of allow into our lives as well, is that, we can get stuck in this perception that I can only be carnivore for the rest of my life. I can only be vegan, in this sense. I can only do keto. And, I can only, do fasting all the time. What I've learned to be true is that, you need to get intuitive and get in touch with your body and how it feels. And, that's typically what I do. There's periods of time that, I won't eat meat. And then I realize, in how I feel that, I'm going to go ahead just to do, strictly meat, strictly eggs, maybe some avocado and do that for a few days. Maybe I go on a fruit fast. Maybe I go on a fast for a few days. Maybe I am, realizing that I'm really craving vegetables. So I'm going to incorporate that into my diet. And this is what I mean. We all like to talk about one way or the highway, but it's in getting in touch with your body that's important, your energy, because energy is everything. And that's really what I love to talk about. But when we get in touch with our energy, how we feel in our bodies, not just in accordance of how we look, but how we feel in our bodies, that's really what we're supposed to be doing in the present moment. We like to focus on, this way, this diet, this nutrition, but it's in the present moment that's giving you all of the details that you need of what you need to work on in the present moment in regards to your nutrition. And, I don't like to view it as a diet. We like to say, oh, try this diet, try this way. But when we associate, carnivore, vegan, keto, all of these aspects as a diet, we view it in that sense. So it's something that is not going to, likely be something you stick with because you're viewing it as a short-term, solution to something. In regards to nutrition, it's something that you need to, incorporate and combine with your identity. And that's a big part of it, is that if we identify ourselves as someone who's, on a diet, it's going to fall off. If we identify ourselves with someone who, is an intuitive eater and eats, healthy, we are living a high vibe life, we are, choosing and we are committed, we identify ourselves as a healthy person, we take those steps accordingly. We associate that with our identity and our subconscious mind runs in, replay. So it kind of falls into place to lead us onto that path to start eating nutritious foods. And that's just a part of that as well. So there's lots of different details when it comes to all of these, nutrition aspects that everyone's telling you what to do. But what people are sharing with you is what is working for them. So you need to take what resonates in the present moment, and that's really going to lead you onto, your unique health, your unique nutrition, and to, rebuild your systems if that's something that you're feeling like you're struggling with. And that was me throughout my life. Now, before we jump into the episode today, if you are feeling that you're struggling with your nutrition, if you're feeling that you have digestive issues, if you're, questioning, your health, it's not really, elevated, and you're really looking to get to a better space in your mental health, your physical health, then go ahead to check out the free masterclass and the energy movement, Elevate 88. I'll go ahead to post the link here, or you can find it on the autumnmindset.com. And, these are 8 steps that you can take into your weekly routine, your lifestyle. They're going to help to align you with your authentic path. And I like to talk about, the spiritual aspects of things and falling into alignment, but, it also comes down to, self-development. And that's really what it's about, is that, we need to step into the change, but we need to do so, in a healthy way. We can always get stuck in saying, you need to follow this diet, you need to do this type of fitness. And we all get so overwhelmed. We get confused. We get, in this space that we're questioning, what we're meant to do, what's unique to us. And that's really what it's about. It's unique to you. We need to bring awareness back to the fact that we need to do what's best for us. We need to do things our unique way in the present moment. And that's something I've learned over the decades, is that I was always, partaking in fitness and nutrition that was kind of being thrown in my face, which is, natural. People are trying to share what worked for them. They want to help you. And I get that. And I do that as well. But, we need to do some trial and error. And that's something that hasn't really been taught in our society. Trial and error is the key to everything. We need to see what works for us. And that really is the key. So go ahead to check out the energy movement, Elevate 88. And these are, 8 steps that you can build uniquely into your weekly routine in ways that are unique to you to help align you with, your authenticity, that path to shift your energy. And, when you're living a path of alignment, it's natural to get to a space that you're elevating, energy, vibration, you're elevating your health. When you're living a life in alignment, you are naturally pursuing growth. So you're stepping into fitness, you're stepping into doing what lights you up. And, we love to talk about, that our thoughts create our reality, that we can heal ourselves. And this is something that I've experienced and I've learned to be true. So it's living an aligned life that is leading you there. Because when we're stuck feeling that we are, focused on everyone outside of ourselves, we're not focused on our unique path of alignment of doing what lights up our soul, or being, stuck and hard on ourselves in these thought processes that are actually bringing us a lot more struggle. And then we embody, the shame, the fear, the self-doubt, that we fall back into these cycles and out of these diets that we want to, be creating as a lifestyle, a healthy way of life in fitness and nutrition. So go ahead to check out Elevate 88, and it will help to, guide you through growth and expansion in ways that are unique to you in all areas of your life. Align with that abundance in health, wealth, and everything that is authentic to you. Because it is your unique way that is the way to everything. So today's episode, let's chat about, naturally, when you elevate your energy, you will crave high vibrational foods. You will crave natural, clean foods and nutrition. And this is something that I learned to be true, is that, when I was really struggling over the decades, sticking to healthy routines, as someone who was binge drinking a lot of the time, because that's kind of what, is built into our culture, into society. I was eating a lot of starches. I was always, falling months, hardcore into healthy nutrition, healthy fitness, losing 50 pounds and then falling back off of it and gaining more back. And I fell into this cycle for decades, for close to 30 years of my life, until I embarked on, a true path of alignment, of change, that everything, shifted for me. And I like to view it as, the universe kind of putting me onto that path, closing all the doors so I would embrace the change, because that's what it's about. We're meant to be living a path of alignment, of growth, and that is really the way. But it's hard to get there sometimes, so I totally understand where you're coming from, hopefully through the screen. Sticking to nutrition, doing what is working for us when we're having ill health in the mental sense and the physical sense. It's really difficult to stick to nutrition. You're feeling very hard on yourself, you're feeling very overwhelmed. And that's something I experienced overcoming chronic illness, where my digestion was just absolutely horrendous, and my mental health over the years was always in a yo-yo effect, that it's really hard to stick to nutrition when we feel stuck in life. So, when we are going ahead to, align with, a path of growth that is unique to us, naturally it's going to elevate your energy, elevate your vibration. And if those terms don't resonate with you, it really just brings you to, a elevated space in your health, that you naturally just start craving these things. It becomes a part of your identity. And that's an important aspect of it, is that our identity is really what we are manifesting into our lives, our beliefs, because it's in accordance with our subconscious mind. So when we identify ourselves as someone who's just following a diet, typically we'll fall out of it. When we are identifying, ourselves as someone who has chronic physical illness, it is really hard to, heal, to get to that space. And I understand that. But you have to take it one day at a time. Give yourself some love and appreciation to understand that one day is one day better to elevated health. And you need to identify with that new self every single day. And that's something that I learned and I did, that led me out of chronic illness in the mental and physical sense over the years, and helped me to stick to nutrition, to actually crave nutrition and get to an elevated space. So every single day you wake up, if you're going through struggle with your nutrition and sticking to healthy habits in general, in the mindset, in life, in your nutrition, go ahead that every single day you wake up, identify yourself as that new person. The day yesterday, it's gone. Really, we need to identify ourselves as that new self every single day, to say, oh my God, I did so much better. Even if it's just, you walking 10 more minutes than you did the day before. Even if it's you, going ahead to eat a salad instead of, a big bowl of pasta. Whatever it is, it can be the smallest little thing, but you need to own that, give yourself some love, and, identify yourself as that new self in that day. Even, we can get so hard on ourselves to say, I'm not where I want to be. I want to, be this person. I want to be someone who sticks to nutrition. I want that to be my new self, my identity, to step into that higher version of myself. But that's what it comes down to. We need to start with where we are, and we need to start with, the identity that we hold, and we need to give ourselves permission to give ourselves some self-love with that. Because, when we are falling into these states, these mindsets of lower vibrational emotions, the self-doubt, the shame, the fear that we're never actually going to, get to an elevated space in our health and our nutrition, if that's something that, brings on some fear, we get stuck there. The subconscious mind puts that on repeat day after day. We hold that belief and we hold that identity. So it's harder. We make it really hard for ourselves sometimes when we're stuck in that embodiment. So each day you need to meet yourself with love. You need to come from a space of acceptance to understand, that yes, maybe you're not exactly where you want to be, and that's okay. We all have struggles in life, but it's brave to step into the change. It's brave to wake up each day doing one little thing more than you did the day before. Hold that identity to yourself with that. Understand that if you do one more thing than the day before, that's perfect. And it doesn't always have to be the same thing. I was somebody who, struggled with chronic physical illness, and I understand how hard it is, with fibromyalgia. I was bedridden, felt like, I had chronic pain throughout my body. Swords went through my rib cage, muscular, skeletal pain throughout my body. It was affecting my mindset. I was in a chronic depression. I'd gained 80 pounds of inflammation. I was somebody who was always, working out, doing yoga, doing HIIT workouts. I couldn't really do that anymore. I was feeling a lot of, self-doubt. I was feeling a lot of shame. I was not confident to get back into fitness. It was a struggle to walk. It was a struggle to do anything, stand up, lie down, sit down. So, you need to give yourself some appreciation to understand that some days, yes, may be harder, but, as long as you understand that you did one more thing, regardless of what's going on in your life, than the day before, hold that identity, give yourself some love with that, and understand that that is the bravest thing you can do. And each day, even if it's hard, that is the identity that you will hold in continuing that process to stick to your nutrition. Now, that was a long intro, but I feel like it needs to be shared in regards to, us, as humans, being hard on ourselves with the nutrition we're trying to stick to, and which way works unique for us. And, we always fall into these patterns that we're so hard on ourselves, and it keeps us stuck. It keeps us from actually elevating our health and sticking to nutrition and stepping into that higher version of ourselves. So give yourself some love and appreciation wherever you are in your journey to understand that, it is brave to step into change. So yeah, good for you. I'm proud of you, and I send you love through the screen. So, getting more into the details in today's episode. So I wanted to talk about, the key aspects to look for in regards to what nutrition is, going to work best for you. And I believe, number one is our energy. Why? Because energy is everything. And that is what I love to talk about, but that really is just, general. If you are feeling that you are burnt out, if you are not feeling uplifted in energy, and that goes with your physical body, and that goes with your mindset, that goes with how you approach and, interact with your life, then maybe it's not working for you. And that's something we need to address, is that what people are sharing with you is what's working for them, but it might not be what's going to work for you in the moment. And as I mentioned at the start of this episode, as we grow, as we change, our physical bodies change as well. Our mental state changes, our identity changes. We step into a new version of ourselves. And I do like to talk about, energy, and it's really just you shifting reality, shifting, to, a new person, a new self. But, really that's just coming down to the fact that, we're stepping into a new version of ourselves. We are not going to be partaking in the same habits, the same mindsets that we once did. And that's, what I really like to talk about in regards that everything is energy, everything, holds a vibration, a frequency. We need to embody that, to become that, to stick to that. And that really comes down to how we view ourselves and how we take aligned actions in life. A journey of self-development. And, while I like to talk about the spiritual aspects and the aspects of quantum physics, that's really what it's about, is that we need to step into the change. We need to become that person. And it comes with a lot of different aspects that we do not talk about in regards to nutrition. We always like to talk about, this diet, eat these things, don't do this. And this leads us into confusion. This leads us into this state that we're trying to do what people are telling us. But what people are sharing is what is working for them. So you need to partake in trial and error, and you need to understand your unique energy and how you are feeling uniquely in the moment. And that will go in accordance to where you are in your life. Because if you're someone, like me, who's struggling with depression, you cannot just, go ahead to step into the full, diet of being a vegan if that's something that you are not partaking in. If you are in a deep depression and you are someone who hasn't even worked out in a few months, if you are binge drinking on the weekends, if you are just eating pasta because you're in a deep depression, you're not really eating nutritious foods, let's be real. We're not going to stick to that. We don't identify ourselves as that person. We need to address different things. And that's what we don't talk about with nutrition, is that we focus on the nutrition, the thing. We need to address more important details, and that actually creates a domino effect for us to elevate our health, to stick to these things, because we need to identify ourselves as that person with that new nutritious diet. So, that's what I learned to be true over the years, just kind of creating a domino effect, and it makes it easier. It's a lot easier to stick to nutrition that you want to when you just focus on the present moment and addressing different things, not always the nutrition itself. So that can come with you addressing your environment to understand that maybe I'm not in the best environment and it's leading me into these cycles, these thought processes that are unhealthy. Maybe it is, your friend group and you're out partying every weekend. Maybe you are somebody who really wants to get into fitness. You want to be going out to, cafes, or just eating nutritious foods on little lunch dates, going to sound baths or saunas. Maybe that's something that interests you. You really want to get to an elevated space in your health and, in your nutrition. But your environment, your relationships will hold an effect on that. So sometimes we need to set boundaries with that as well, expand our friend groups. And that's a hard thing to face sometimes. But if we want to step into change, if we want to bring about, a healthier self, we need to make some hard decisions and address that change accordingly. So, that comes with different details. That comes with addressing your mental health. That comes with healing and regulating your nervous system, doing healing. And these things all hold an effect because everything's energy. Everything holds, a big part to our nutrition, to us sticking with it, because we shift our identity, and that's a big part of it. So addressing your energy is really important. So that will come with different aspects. That will really be reflection point. And I think that's the number one most important for you to reflect on in regards to what's going to work for you. Is it carnivore? Is it that, maybe you need to go on a fast? What are you feeling called to do? What intuitively do you feel is going to work for you in the present moment in regards to your current mindset, the habits that you're currently partaking in, the environments that you're in, and in accordance to your energy and just your physical body? Are you having digestive issues? These details are all going to be unique to you. So we really just need to reflect on the energy, where it's flowing and where it's not, and then kind of make adjustments accordingly in the present moment. And like I said, your nutrition, should be changing over time. And that's just a natural thing, is that if we're growing, it's likely going to change in a few years, in a few months, and that's just a natural part of it. So address the energy and understand that, if you are feeling that you don't have, the energy to do your workouts, that's a problem. If you feel that you are crashing in the afternoon, there's something that needs to be addressed there. If you feel like you have brain fog, that energy is not flowing to your brain. So we really need to address different things and kind of, face ourselves, ask the question, what is the cause and effect? Where am I feeling depleted in energy throughout my day? Is it when I'm at home? What habits do I partake in at home? Am I being triggered from my environments to, snack all day and eat a lot of processed sugar where I crash, in the afternoon? Am I feeling triggered in certain aspects of my life that are actually depleting my energy? There are different details that will kind of come to your awareness when you're really just bringing awareness to your energy and how it flows throughout the day. If it is something that you're trying to, fast, if you are trying to question, does the carnivore diet work for me? Does vegan work for me? I always recommend, try it for a few days. one big thing that you can always do, do a fast first. Kind of just, flush out whatever is going on in your physical body and kind of release anything. So, if you're someone who, is drinking all the time, do a fast. If you're someone who's, had a lot of processed foods, do a fast. It will help to, allow a few days, for you to flush out kind of what is there, for you to gain an awareness in how you feel in your physical body when you start, bringing in new foods, because you will recognize certain things and it will help you to recognize where the energy is. If you're doing carnivore, and I do like carnivore, but I only do it for, a few days, I recognize that I do crash, a few days later. And, that's a part of it, is that our energy is also in accordance to our lifestyles. We can go ahead to practice, and yes, we should push through things. We should push our limits to see how far we can go with things sometimes. In fasting, we don't want to fast for long periods of time, and I get that, but it's in doing these hard things that, actually brings on, elevated health. If you go ahead to fast for 3 days, it truly transforms your cells. It brings you to an elevated space, and it's something we don't want to do. So there are things that we should, be disciplined with and try out and see if it works for us. But, with trial and error, if you recognize that, you've tried carnivore and it works for a few days for you, fine, do it for a few days. If you recognize that you're crashing because, let's say you are a runner, let's say you have a very busy lifestyle, you're feeling like you're not getting enough, carbohydrates, not enough vegetables, and it's actually making you feel depleted, you're craving vegetables, that's kind of your clue to kind of get in touch with your body, how your energy's flowing, how you feel. If you're crashing because you feel like you're not getting enough carbohydrates or, essential fats in your diet, maybe that's causing an effect on where your energy's flowing and your lifestyle. So go ahead to kind of reflect on that, where the energy is being depleted, and kind of just make adjustments accordingly. And this is a big part of it, is, addressing our energy is going to help us to reflect on, the aspects within ourselves, our mindsets, our approach to life, our habits, and, just our environments as well, to understand that, we each have a unique lifestyle. We each have unique routines, and that is going to be, an effect on, our nutrition in accordance to our energy, because we don't want to be that person who is, going ahead to follow through on these diets, but we are feeling drained. We are, not present in the moment. We're feeling depleted in energy, or just, not living life. And that's really not what it's about. And that's kind of the diet culture, for decades, is that, we've been taught to, eat less calories. But sometimes it's not really about that. It's about getting in touch with your body. It's about, knowing the nutrition you're eating, not eating processed foods, because yes, you can cut calories. But if you're only eating protein bars and protein shakes and, some rice and meat all the time, if that works for you, fine. But what I learned, over the years is that that wasn't really, helping me. That was actually bringing on a lot of inflammation. It wasn't really benefiting me uniquely in my energy. I wasn't getting the proper nutrition that I needed to uplift my energy, to actually lead me into weight loss, to release the cortisol. Because when we feel restricted, sometimes that doesn't work for us. Sometimes that leads our nervous systems into a state of fight or flight that we naturally, sometimes, depending on our past traumas, leads our nervous system into fight or flight, which produces more cortisol, which actually depletes your energy, causes more inflammation, and leads you into, this state that you're having a really hard time losing the weight. And that's just a part of it as well. So addressing different things, addressing your energy will kind of, be in accordance to every detail of your life. But that is the most important, I think, to look out for in regards to, understanding what nutritious diet is going to work uniquely for you. And number 2, the thing that I believe you need to kind of be aware of in regards to understanding what nutrition is working for you is inflammation. And I kind of just mentioned this, but if you were feeling that you have a lot of inflammation, this is kind of a big part of processed foods, but it's a big part of our cortisol levels. So that's our nervous system feeling, stress. So we need to address different things. And like I said, we like to focus on the nutrition. Sometimes it is, about different things. Sometimes it is, us shifting things in our environments, how we approach life, our habits. Sometimes we need to do healing. Sometimes, we're not actually taking care of our nervous systems in that sense, and we need to regulate them, And that will actually lead us onto a path of understanding what is working for us in our nutrition. And when you're kind of doing trial and error with the nutrition, if you're feeling like, the inflammation's not really going away, kind of just question, what are your portion sizes? Yes, but also just, what's working for you. If you are someone who's, trying the vegan thing, but you're not feeling like you're losing inflammation, maybe you are, yes, in a calorie deficit. Maybe you try not the calorie deficit because you recognize it's not working. Maybe you're questioning if it's your nervous system leading you into high cortisol, that you're feeling a lot of inflammation. Maybe it's just not working for you because, the vegan style isn't going to work for you. Maybe you do need to incorporate different meats. Maybe you do need to incorporate, vegetables. Maybe you need to do a fast for a few days with fruit or, juice, and just kind of allow, that aspect to fall away. So kind of just coming to the space of recognizing, inflammation, that will help to bring your awareness to what's not working for you in regards to, your lifestyle, but also just your nutrition. Because, inflammation isn't really healthy. It isn't really natural. It's not something we want. Inflammation leads to a lot of pain. It's bringing a lot of struggle. And that's something I've always struggled with for years. And it was, in partaking in fasting that really did help me with inflammation in general. But it was also just, reducing, certain starches and carbs, certain aspects that I was bringing into my nutrition that weren't working for me. And sometimes this really comes down to, that we're drinking a lot of alcohol. Sometimes this comes down to maybe we're indulging in more processed sugar or processed foods than we would wish to. But, sometimes these aspects are really just in accordance to where we're living. And that's a big part of our environments as well, and something we don't always talk about. But sometimes we feel like we have a lot of high cortisol, we have a lot of inflammation because it's our food source. And that's something I learned to be true as well, is that I always thought, when I was doing fasting and losing a lot of inflammation, coming out of fibromyalgia, and just, throughout the decades over the years, going ahead to do fasting and eating different, nutritious styles really did help me, with my inflammation and these aspects. But it was kind of, brought to my awareness that, I could still eat carbs. I could still eat starches and breads and pastas, but it was in choosing specific ones and how they're sourced. And that's a big part of it, is that sometimes we are not aware of how things are processed where we currently live or where the products come from. So, me, going ahead to kind of remove starches of, wheats that are produced in North America, the inflammation was falling away and I could still eat pasta. And people still talk about this, a lot, when they go to Europe and they're like, I don't have, these issues with gluten. I don't have, bloating when I eat pizza and pasta and all these things. I don't have these issues, with dairy. And that's what I mean, is that we also need to bring our awareness to the fact that sometimes the environments we live in, or where the products are actually being sourced or how they're produced, we may not be able to understand, but it's causing an effect. And that will likely lead us into recognizing our energy, but also, the inflammation. So really just becoming aware of, where you're feeling inflammation, if it's, on your body itself in view, or if it's, you feeling inflammation, in your joints, if you're feeling sore in certain places, that, is a big part of it. So keep an eye out for the inflammation. That will help to lead you to understand what is working for you in your nutrition and what will be best for you. And number 3, bloating. And I think this one is pretty obvious. If we're feeling bloated, that's kind of our sign to say, okay, something's not working for me uniquely. And sometimes that is, understanding that, certain foods are not always going to work for you. Sometimes it is just in accordance to maybe the portion of certain foods that don't work for you. And that's something I did trial and error over the years, and it changed up, over time. But, I was never someone who could really eat a lot of, just vegan. It just didn't work for me. But, it was kind of understanding that, yes, I can eat vegan for a few days, but then I can go ahead to do different things. I can incorporate a balance, getting in touch with, understanding that, bloating, yes, naturally, that happens when we eat. But if we're feeling bloated all the time, that's something to question. If we feel like we're bloated all the time, this kind of goes with the aspect of inflammation in your body. But that's for us to bring awareness that, okay, whatever I'm ingesting isn't working. So what can I do about it? And sometimes, yes, that means just kind of, going on a fast, going ahead to get to, the space that we're just kind of eliminating what's going on, the bacteria in our digestion systems, to start again, to rebuild, to kind of see with trial and error what's working for us. And number 4, to question and understand what is going to work for you in your nutrition is your digestion. And if you're struggling with digestion, I've been there throughout my life. It is, very overwhelming. It is a struggle. And if you're someone who, struggles with irritable bowel, if, it is the bloating, if it's, all of these details that we don't always like to talk about. But if you're having digestive problems, the biggest suggestion I can give to you is addressing your nervous system. And that's not something we talk about. We focus on the nutrition of what we're eating, but it's really in accordance to our fight or flight response. And that goes with our nervous system. So if you are struggling with your digestion, sometimes, yes, that means we need to do some healing. Sometimes that means we need to take different approaches in our life to regulate our nervous system, bring in different practices. Maybe we're someone who's always been living in a state of fight or flight. We're anxious, and that affects our digestion. And that's something, I had to bring to my awareness, that I lived a life in fight or flight. And that's what affected me in regards to nutrition. And that's what led me into, ill chronic health in the physical sense as well, overcoming post-viral syndrome and fibromyalgia. This was, what led me to these points is that, I wasn't healing. I wasn't addressing the nervous system. And, the body keeps the score. So, in this sense, I really needed to regulate my nervous system because we love to talk about how your stomach is your second brain. And it is. It's in accordance with your intuition. So if that, is not functioning well, because everything is energy. If we don't address our nervous systems, we're always kind of stuck in this state of fight or flight. Our digestion is going to take a toll. So in your digestive journey, if you're struggling with that, go ahead to address your fight or flight response in your nervous systems. And that will come with bringing in different practices into your life, whether that's breath work, whether that's, partaking in calmer fitness styles. Sometimes, that isn't boxing or doing HIIT every day. That was something I used to do, all the time, is that I only focused on plyometrics, only HIIT, boxing, all of these aspects, but I wasn't, allowing, different styles of workouts to regulate my nervous system. And it just elevated my cortisol. It just led me into states of fight or flight unknowingly. And that's, a big part of, my digestive problems uniquely over time. But, this should help you to get to a space that you're, healing those digestive issues that you're struggling with. And one suggestion I can give with that as well, when I was coming out of post-viral syndrome and I was having a lot of digestive issues, is doing an elimination diet. And I know it's not fun, it sucks. It's awful. It's like, yeah, you could do it like 3 to 6 weeks, but you basically remove everything and then you slowly and gradually, incorporate one thing at a time to see what's working for you. And I do this every few years now, and I don't do it for the full length of time, but I kind of just remove everything and then I start incorporating, one food every few days to see what works for me. And if there's bloating, if I'm feeling drained in energy, if there's brain fog, then I go ahead to kind of address that to understand the source of where I need to make adjustments in my nutrition and my diet. And that's just, part of, where we're living too, is that, me, I uniquely, I realized I didn't really do well with poultry, but, sometimes poultry has a lot of, products and antibiotics and all of these aspects that are kind of, injected into the meats. And, I do well with red meats, but it's in trial and error you find out these things. But sometimes, if you try it again at a different time, try to get clean foods, try to, source different products that, are ensuring that you're not just perceiving, well, I can't have this food because it didn't work for me. Make sure it's clean sourced foods, whether that's, poultry meats, whether that's, your dairy, whether that's your vegetables. Try to, bring in new things as clean as possible, and that will help you to kind of, understand how it feels in your body because it's clean. There's less pesticides on them. There's less details that are kind of put into our foods or on top of our foods that we are not aware of a lot of the time. So, you can go ahead to try that as well. I always promote eat clean foods, but I always am that person as well as like, enjoy your life, enjoy a treat, have that ice cream you want to, processed sugar, we shouldn't be indulging it, every day. But, that's just a part of life, is that we're meant to, enjoy our lives as well. So I'm not really, that person who's like, restrict everything. And that's just about creating a balance in life. But when it comes to your digestion, you can try removing everything and then just bringing in some clean items, trying a new thing every day and just seeing how you feel in your energy and in accordance to, bloating in your digestion and all of these details. And number 5, when it comes to, things that you can look out for, is if you're having a hard time losing weight. So, this goes, with the bloating and the inflammation, but, this goes with our nervous system and our cortisol as well. And sometimes, yes, it means we need to address different things aside from the actual aspects, of the nutritious diet or style that we're trying to partake in. But if you're having a hard time losing weight, maybe it's not working for you. If you're someone who's doing, the vegan, if you're doing keto, but you're recognizing you're not losing weight, something to question. Go ahead to question the keto. What is it you're actually eating? Because sometimes, yes, we can associate keto with, cheese, meats, and dairy, but, we're not really getting, different nutrients, and those are, very calorie dense. So sometimes it's kind of shifting those elements up to say, okay, well, maybe I can go ahead just to do, meats and, berries and these aspects, and then try that out for a while, see if you start, losing weight. And, if that's not working, maybe it's not working for you. Maybe try something else. Maybe you're in a state in your life that, you are always, you've always been someone who struggles with, an eating disorder. And this was me. I always struggled with binge eating. There was a period of time I struggled with bulimia. So I understand, how that can really associate with our nervous system and actually can hold an effect on how we lose weight, because naturally we're triggered. Naturally we feel restricted, when food is kind of, brought up. So this leads our body into a state of fight or flight naturally sometimes. And that comes with doing healing and addressing these things and building, that relationship with food and with yourself in a healthier way. But that takes time. So if you recognize you're not really losing weight, sometimes it is just kind of bringing awareness to the fact that, okay, maybe it's not what I'm eating. Maybe it's, how I'm feeling. Maybe it is my nervous system. So, if you're someone who struggled with, eating disorders in the past, we can fall into this unconscious, fight or flight response in our nervous system that we naturally, produce more cortisol, that we are fearful, we're feeling shame, we're feeling doubt to actually eat the food that's put in front of us, or we're being overly restricted. We are going ahead to say, I have to do it this way. I need to be so disciplined with this. And it doesn't always benefit us. It doesn't always lead us to the results we want in health, in weight loss, in our mental state. And that's a part of it. So, sometimes that's a big aspect of losing weight, is addressing different things aside from the nutrition. But if you're feeling safe in your environment, if you didn't struggle with an eating disorder, you're still struggling to lose weight, maybe that's just something to question, that maybe whatever you're doing just isn't working for you. So kind of, do some trial and error, remove some things, see what's working for you in the moment. Sometimes, what I've found over time is that, I couldn't eat certain vegetables for periods in my life. It, brought on a lot of bloating at different, times in my life. I was okay with those vegetables. And that's what I mean. As we grow, as we change, our digestion changes, our nervous systems change, and everything is energy. Everything holds an effect. So do some trial and error, see what's working for you uniquely in the moment, and, see what is kind of, coming about in that sense. So if you're having a hard time losing weight, maybe just kind of, start from scratch, rebuild, and just kind of do some trial and error, see what's going to work for you. And, we don't always have to be in this, strict calorie deficit all the time. Yes, if we want to lose weight, we have to be in a calorie deficit, but, put less focus on that. Focus on how you feel, your energy. And what I found to be true over the years is that naturally, we can get to a space that we're walking more, we're feeling high vibe, we want to, partake in more fitness. We're not really tracking things to the same sense. We're living life, we're feeling healthy and, regulated in our nervous systems, we are in a healthier space. We are low cortisol, and that actually leads us to, really significant weight loss in a short period of time. And that was me. I struggled for decades, trying to lose weight, and coming out of fibromyalgia, my cortisol was through the roof. It was, it was really bad, doctor said. And I had a hard time, kind of getting rid of that. But it wasn't addressing different things aside from my nutrition that led me on this path. And it was addressing, me leaving certain relationships, me leaving an environment, embarking in the change that naturally just created a domino effect that I lost 60 pounds in a short 3 months. And the cortisol, was lowering, the inflammation was going away. And that's what it means, is that sometimes it's not about the nutrition itself, the diet you're trying to see what's working for you. Sometimes it is about different things, different energies that are holding an effect that we need to address. And yes, those aren't fun, but that's a part of it too. And lastly, something to look out for is number 6, illness. So, I think, it kind of says a lot. If you're feeling like you're sick all the time, then maybe your nutrition isn't working. Maybe you need to shift things up. Maybe uniquely you need different nutrients, a different, lifestyle change. And yes, this can go with, our mental health, our environment, our nervous system. But if you are feeling, really depleted, if you're feeling like you're constantly getting sick, if you're feeling drained, if, all of these aspects, if you're always feeling that you're catching a cold, you're always getting ill, go ahead to understand that maybe the diet or, nutrition you're partaking in is not working for you uniquely. You need to shift things up, do different things. And, that was me, over time, is that, yes, I was eating healthy, but, I wasn't really eating what was best for me. I was going ahead to be in a calorie deficit where I was just eating quinoa and, tomatoes with some cheese in it. Yes, I was losing weight in these aspects, but I was falling into illness. And that's a part of it. And sometimes it isn't about, the calorie deficit. Sometimes it is about the nutrition. I was someone who was, doing keto, but, I had to recognize that, I was doing keto, maybe not in the healthiest sense. There was a lot of, dairy products, a lot of things that wasn't getting the proper nutrition in regards to the type of protein I was eating, because I was eating a lot of chicken. And, me uniquely, I don't do well with poultry. And I believe it has something to do with kind of what's been put into a lot of the poultry items. But like, that might work for you, and that's fine. Do what works best for you. But it wasn't working for me, and I was falling into a lot of illness. And it's when I removed poultry, eggs are fine, but when I removed, chicken from my diet, I recognized a big change. So it's about kind of doing trial and error, removing different things, bringing in different things, shifting to cleaner foods, yes, but you will start to recognize and see what works for you and what is, helping you get to a healthier space. So that's the, the last thing to question, is that if you're always feeling like you're catching a cold, if you're always falling into illness, you need to make some changes in your dietary and, nutrition aspects that you are partaking in your lifestyle. So those are 6 things to look out for in regards to your nutrition, and kind of questioning, what diet should I do? What's working for me? It really is a unique journey to you. And I know it's very general, it's very broad, but I just really wanted to bring to your awareness and share my unique perspective of things I've overcome over the years, and recognizing that, our nutrition is often meant to change as we grow, as we shift, as we step into a different version of ourselves. We heal, we get to a better space, and our nutrition, naturally just, creates a domino effect. We start craving different things. We start, feeling better in eating different sources of nutrition. And that's a part of it, is that, I was vegan and I was vegetarian, for different years of my life. But, while it worked for me at one time, it was no longer working for me. And this is something a lot of people talk about, is that they're feeling depleted in energy, they are feeling drained, and then they go ahead to understand that, okay, maybe I need to incorporate some, different sources of protein, some meats. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with that, but I do know a lot of people who have, taken that path and they feel uplifted in energy. But, everything is energy. Plants are living too. And I know it's not the same sense. And I know I'm going to trigger people by saying that. But, you need to do what's working for you, what's uplifting you in energy and bringing you to a healthy space. And I know a lot of people have a hard time in regards to nutrition because of these elements. So, if you're feeling that you need to change that, go ahead to give yourself some love and understanding that, if you're feeling that you're falling into illness, if you're feeling depleted in energy, if you're experiencing brain fog, if you're, not feeling good in your body, then that's, not really what is meant for you to partake in. And that's okay. And I know it's hard. And that was me. I was vegetarian and vegan for years, but it was no longer working for me. And I had to kind of get back into eating meats. And I didn't really like, doing that when I was, trying to, eliminate that from my lifestyle. But, coming back into that space, I just partake in, eating meats in a different way. They're ethically sourced, they are clean, they are, living, a natural life on the farm. I know it's a triggering message, but I just want to share that as well, is that, what works for you may not always work for you. And that's what we need to bring to our awareness sometimes in shifting things up. Sometimes keto works for you, but sometimes we can perceive that diets are a lifestyle. But sometimes, what actually is a diet is something that's meant to be partaken in a period of time. Fasting is something I, do, quite frequently, but it's not something I do all the time. I don't continue to follow the same cycle, to go ahead to, do an 18-16 intermediate fast every day. And that was me over the years, is that I stuck to things. I stuck to these, routines, these diets, but over time they were no longer working. I wasn't losing weight. I was feeling depleted in energy. I wasn't in touch with my body and how I was feeling. It was leading me into, chronic illness in the physical sense as well. So that's something we need to understand, is that sometimes, our nutrition is meant to change. When we can perceive that, we're doing carnivore, if it's no longer working for you, that's okay. Like, go ahead to bring in different things, get back on it if it works for you for the most part. But we need to also recognize that, things do not always have to be a certain way. And that's really what we like to perceive a lot of the time, is that I need to be doing this one thing because it worked for me once. But when something, regardless, of its nutrition, just in life in general, if it's no longer working for you, that means, okay, it's had its purpose and now you need to make changes. You need to shift things up. So go ahead to, question these 6 aspects in your nutrition to understand, what is working uniquely for you and what is actually going to benefit you to elevate your health, to get you to that space you want in your fitness, in your health, whether it is, in weight loss, whether it is, in your mental health, whether it is just, creating that new lifestyle for yourself and identifying yourself as that healthy person that I know you are. We just need to break free of some of the habits that, we've partaken in over the years. And that's just, a part of it. And that's, removing a lot of, the substances, and that's removing, some of the processed things that are just, so naturally built into our society that we, go ahead to pick them up all the time. And that's just kind of, what's been promoted. So, it's just kind of shifting things up, embracing the change a little more every day, doing what works for you uniquely, regardless of what other people are telling you, works for them. And you just trusting the process of trial and error with that to get to a healthier space. And that's my wish for you. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode of, what nutrition, what diet, diet. I don't like the word, but it's easy to say. It's going to work for you on your unique journey and get you to an elevated space in your, intentions in life and in your health in general. And go ahead to check out the energy movement, Elevate 88. And as I mentioned, I will post the link here, or you can check it out on the autumnmindset.com to align you with that energy, to align you on a path to your higher self, that you become the embodiment and you identify yourself as that healthy person who, naturally just sticks to these habits. They are no longer a diet. They're just, a part of who you are. And that's really what we want to be living at. A life that, yes, we enjoy the indulgences in life, but we're also living a healthy, life that is unique to us. And that's a beautiful thing. So keep shining, lovely beings, and know that I believe in you in your unique way. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Awaken Mindset. And if you feel the call, go ahead to check out theautumnmindset.com for mindset and energy guidance to lead you onto a path of elevated vibration and to embody the frequency of authenticity to live your dream reality. Keep shining, lovely beings, and follow those paths that call to you.